All right, it's 20 minutes before 7 here on the program. There have been calls for the Priority Crime Investigations Unit, also known as the Hawks, to speed up a number of cases involving senior government officials which were seen to have been neglected. The Hawks have since confirmed that they are officially investigating claims of corruption contained in the former Public Protector's State of Capture report. Now, the National Prosecuting Authority said there was a real basis for such a probe. Now, we've got the Hawk spokesperson in studio with us, Hangwane Muluadzi, who is going to talk to us and shed some light on some of the investigations that are happening. Good to have you. Thanks so much for coming in.
And morning to the listeners.
How has this let's start at the beginning. What is the mandate of the Hawks? I mean, what is that actual written down mandate?
Look, I think firstly, let me first apologize on behalf of the acting national head.
Yeah.
She was supposed to be here, but due to the fact that she had other matters to deal with yesterday, she couldn't make it, so hence I'm here. So she has made it a plea and requested that if there is time, she's more than willing to come and speak to you directly on these matters. But be that it may, the Hawks, we deal mostly with priority crimes. Priority crimes in terms of serious organized crime, serious corruption, and serious commercial crime. We take this from the fact that we are a independent institution that falls within the SABC. However, we are then given in special taskings in terms of dealing with these big cases that are referred to us by different units. It could be the police, it could be members of the public who would want to deal with us directly. But in hindsight, or in just a short, we can say that we're dealing with those cases.
Yeah. So we look at these priority crimes that you're talking about, and yet it seems that some are more important than others. I mean, some crimes, and let's just talk about state capture for that instance, has been around since we heard our former Deputy Finance Minister exposing the fact that he was offered so much money in state capture, and yet it feels like this has just been dragging. I mean, this was a year ago.
It's true. Look, Leon, I think people must also understand that we deal with very complicated cases. And it's not your normal shoplifting cases where you can see a suspect, take them to court, and the case is then dealt with maybe in a day or two. Here we are talking about big cases that have been brought to our attention. And at the same time, we are making sure that there is investigations that are continuing. Of course, we work through the PGI, that is a prosecutorial guided investigations. Once we get a case, there is a case plan that is to be formulated, and that case plan is to be dealt with directly with the prosecutors, that is the MPA. And then from there, that is when we'll be able to move in terms of how then do we approach those investigations. So those investigations have been ongoing for a very long time, yes, and at the same time, there are stumbling blocks that we normally come across. Sometimes we have to now try and get the assistance from the courts in terms of summons and all those kind of things. Communication in terms of trying to get documents from the affected parties, it takes time. So, but that does not mean that nothing is being done. Yeah. There's a lot that is being done. But at the same time, we need to understand that we are not in the business of, trying to make noise about all these things, what is going on, how we're dealing with these things. There are people that we deal with directly, and those are our complainants. And those complainants, they are more than aware of how far we are in terms of this investigation.
It just amazes us how fast you can actually work. I mean, let's just go back to the incident of our former Finance Minister, Pravin Gordhan, and we have to use that as an example of how fast the Hawks worked on that. That was for an amount of around 1 million rand. We are sitting with a pension payout for around about 30 million rand for Brian Molefe from Eskom. Now, at the end of the day, you know, this is what brings into question the public. It's like, how can one case be so fast? It almost felt like it happened overnight, and yet a case that has been investigated by a public protector in the 2nd of November, who handed over the state of capture report to you, who then said the president must not appoint the committee that looks into it, or a judge that whoever presides over it mustn't do this, and yet it seems that it's not taking time. The evidence is mounting. It's huge of state capture. Why do some happen so fast and yet others drag on for as long as this has dragged on for?
Look, I think that's a perception that people have. I've been in the DPCI since 2014, and when I came in, that case which former Minister Pravin Gordhan was being dealt with before. So the consistency does not necessarily mean that we are rushing on other issues and we're leaving other issues. That case, Leon, was dealt with before.
Yeah. And yet it was proved that the evidence against him was just not there. So I'm not sure how long you were working on it for and how accurate the investigations into it were, because it did prove to be not true in any way.
Allegations were made, and those allegations were then tested in court, and the court made an announcement. So we cannot say that we were just rushing, to try and get, the minister down or anything. I think that is wrong. But if there are allegations that have been made, we need to make sure that they are investigated. With the state of capture cases, even before the state capture case was pronounced, or the report itself was taken out, given to the public, or published to say, we had already started with those investigations. There's a lot that we have already covered. And like I said, there's a lot of things that we still have to do. But that does not necessarily mean that we're just sitting down and folding arms, doing nothing about it. Hence, it is critical to tell to the public that in our investigations, in any law enforcement investigation, we deal directly with the complainants, and those are the ones who can be able, maybe, and if you want to know what the complainants are, they can be able to tell you how far we are with those investigations.
Okay, we're going to take a very quick break, and we want to find out how far you actually are in the investigations, and when we can finally see something coming from the Hawks with regard to state of capture, as well as other cases, and very high-profile cases that we're waiting for some news on. We'll see you after this. Do stay tuned.